Hello lovely people, how are you all today? I hope you're well. Yeah, I'm back in the garden. Finally we have a bit of sunshine and there's even a little bit of warmth to it. It's lovely. So I thought, high time we do a March garden tour. Not a huge amount of difference from February, but there are some differences. And I thought as we go around today, as we look at each bed, I'm going to describe or say what's going to be in that bed this year. We're now in this year. Whoa, better get a wriggle on. Last time I was here, do you remember I filmed my thoughts on video in the shed. All I'd done that day was trimming and gathering up the clippings. It nearly beat me. That first strim of the year, I don't go hard at it. So today I've just done another strim, just take it down a little bit neater. I've run out of battery, so round behind the cold trim, the compost bins isn't done, around the shed isn't done. I'll do that next time I'm here, which will be very soon, and I'll explain why once we're out in the garden. So without further ado, oh, and it's quite late in the afternoon. What's the time? Let me have a squiz. It's 3:30, so it's quite bright. So the sun's obviously dipped, so we're going to have some really long shadows, but actually this light is picking things out beautifully. Right, come on. Oh, let's take a second to just take this light in. It's so lovely. Right, starting in the top bed, as we always do. Oh, look, my little tulips are starting to show amongst the poached eggs. Yay! What I haven't looked at since I changed it, moved it, what have you, is, oh, when we had that storm, gosh, the cardboard flew everywhere. I'm not expecting to see any shoots from the tree lily yet, but must remember to keep an eye on it. Now, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, this was still the parsnips and the remains of the calendula. So I harvested the last of the parsnips, had the calendula out, they all got chopped up and added into the compost bin. And then because I was here and because I was at it, I thought, right, well, I'll get this bed prepped now anyway. So I had a bit of a tickle, then a raking, and oh, did I add the chicken manure? I don't think I added the chicken manure at that stage, but it's pretty much ready to go. So I just covered it again to stop the foxes and the cats from messing in it. But this and the next bed along, this will be onions, red and white, or white and red, doesn't matter which way round. So 2 onion beds. And this next bed over, which, oh, I'm wondering about shadows. You can see the the chard is packing up again with a bit of sunshine. Let me come this way. They were looking a bit tatty and sorry for themselves. That's partly because they've had a battering from the weather, but also because I hadn't been harvesting. I mean, I've hardly been here to harvest, so quick bit of a tidy up, and I'm trying to find the best place because of the light. Hold on. Oh, they're lovely. So yeah, they're properly perking up again now. So this bed this year is going to be carrots and courgettes. I am going to try again with carrots, but I'm not going to do the whole bed as I normally would. And if you remember last year when they failed, I bunged in 3 courgettes. It was over in this bed. The courgettes worked brilliantly for me and I was delighted to have them. So yeah, courgettes and carrots. The next bed will be fennel and celery, and then behind that, once the garlic comes out, that's going to be the bed for this year's Cavallo Nero. Obviously last year's Cavallo Nero are here. Everything hops a bed. Purple sprouting broccoli is doing okay. It's really been quite pecked this year. I've not had it pecked quite so badly previously, but yeah, it's really starting to produce now. Beautiful. Oh my goodness, they just look like sweeties, don't they? So yes, happy days. They're all starting to come. I had a few from that one last week, left a few more to get a bit bigger, and they've been pecked. So I think probably because I am seeming to be pecked a lot this year. What I'll do is, even when they're quite small, I'm just going to start having them away pretty pronto. Oh, I love the light. It's beautiful to have a bright light day after so many very dark, wet days. Yay for the garlic. So the covers are off now. I'm sure I've mentioned it before. They don't actually need the covers. The covers were just on because I didn't have any material to mulch the soil with, and left with no covers over the winter, the soil would get absolutely hammered, and it just sets to concrete when it gets hammered over the winter like that, and then the minute we start to get warm and dry, turns into concrete. However, if you remember when I was mentioning that day I'd come down to trim and trim my edges, after doing that I go around all my gutters and pick up all the clippings, which might seem a bit OCD, neat freak, but there's a reason. Because in the gutters, not only were all the trimmings from where I cut the edge of the paths, but there are all sorts of leaves and scraps of cardboard that have been blown around in the storm. So I gathered them all up, and that's my first bit of mulch for this year's garden. So you can see it's a right royal mash of bits of cardboard, grass, leaves. But you know what? It'll do. It's a bit of something to help retain moisture, stop my soil baking hard, and obviously as it decomposes, it's all organic matter from the soil that helps to break up the clay. Obviously it's nutritional, it's feeding the soil too, and I think my garlic are looking okay. Right into the sun. Yeah, I'm pleased with how they're looking. The other thing was it a week ago when I was down strimming? I can't remember, but I gave them all the top dressing of chicken manure pellets, and as I said at the time, I didn't water them in because the soil was really wet and we were getting plenty of rain. But I think it's really perked them up a bit because they are looking a slightly more healthy, vibrant green now. It would have started to look just a little tiny bit yellow. But yeah, happy with them. Good. Now a few changes in this bed. The Cavallo Nera has done me great. I mean, I could have harvested so much more if I'd been around, but I haven't. So they are starting to flower now. Fine. I'll eat the flowers. Well, I'll eat them at this stage before the flowers open. And they will be coming out soonish, and in their stead will go, I have to think about this for a minute, there will be squash in this bed, and there will be squash in this bed. All the celery that was left in and looking really pathetic, that's also starting to come back now. I've got plenty of seed. I don't need to save any seed from this year, so I'll let this grow a bit more and just get a last few harvests from it, and then they will come out too and make room for squash. What's the order of the day? I'm trying to think what order things are in. Yes, so that's squash. This will be, what's this going to be? Cucumbers and peppers. And then in the front, 4 rows, 2 in each bed, of tomatoes. Now these are all just covered at the moment because this was where I had my remains of the broccoli, sorry state they were, and the remains of the cabbage, also a pretty sorry state. So they're all out and the covers are on. There's nothing planted in there, not really any bed prep done much, but it's just to keep foxes and cats off. I mean, there's been a bit of a sort of an initial... Are you right? Rusty, you having a little mad moment? Always having a little roll. Just an initial bit of a sort of like rough dig where I got the plants out, but it all needs sort of raking and chicken manure pelleting, and I mean not too much because it's the tomatoes, they don't need a fine tilth. They also might get, if I have any left over, something I'm going to talk about as we move into the next bed. So the broad beans, I've taken the covers off just while I'm here today so they can have a little bit of a sunbathe, feel a bit of the breeze, start to learn to stand up to the breeze. But I will be putting the covers back on because we're due to have, I believe, quite a heavy frost tonight. Now, in general, I'm a bit disappointed with the broad beans this year because you can see there are some real little tiddlers in here where they did get nibbled by the slugs. I've not lost them to slugs in the winter before. Oh, but I've left them in and some of them are resprouting, so they might do something. But I think, fortunately, there are enough plants here that I should still get a decent harvest because I do love my broad beans and they generally do very well for me. Oh my goodness, look. Looky. I was going to say, it feels like winter is finally giving away to spring. Can you see? First flower. Broad bean flower. Oh my goodness, that really is a sign that we are heading into spring. Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's cheered me up. When I took the covers off, I've got to say I was feeling a little bit disappointed and upset by the sight of them, but the flower has cheered me up. So they will come out at the end of May, and in their place will go some sort of brassica, kale probably. The bed behind is going to be for the coco de pampol, and then the rest of this bed is for squash. Now, obviously I haven't done any bed prep, eek, but fingers crossed this happens, and it should be happening tomorrow. I'm hoping to get a load of horse poo, and I think I should have enough horse poo to put on all 3 of these beds. There may be enough horse poo to put onto this bed, possibly the Cavallo bed. Obviously I'm not going to put it on there yet because the Cavallos are still there. But yeah, so I'll take that delivery and just literally get it. Well, obviously I'll remove all the stones and the remnants of cardboard, but just dump it on there, walk away, forget it, and then consider these beds kind of ready for me to put my squash into, which won't happen until I usually do it the first week of June, just let things really properly warm up a bit. But I'm chuffed to be able to get some more horse poo. Yay! Oh, these beans are such a sad sight. Never mind. Oh, so another bed cleared, not quite ready but cleared, this was the red kale, and this is going to be Parsnips and Calendula. So you can see it's had a bit of a sort of rough dig as I've taken the kale out. Just make sure, have a look for weeds and any really obvious lumps of stones or glass, because the parsnips won't like them. But I will need to bash this down into a finer tilth to take the parsnip seed. That will be in about 5 or 6 weeks time. Oh, everything's giddying up apace. I can't for the life of remember. Oh, I know what's going in here. Rocking core and chickpeas, and then I'm going to have a little patch on the end. Jim sent me some coco noir, so it's another from the cocoa bean family. Oh, and just to say, in terms of the bean arches this year, they'll go between bed 1 and 2. So you see where this path starts here? That will be bean arches, and between beds 2 and 3, that will be bean arches. So this path won't have any bean arches this year. I hop those around too. So that's basically beans and chickpeas, dwarf beans, bush beans and chickpeas. Then, desperately trying to remember what's going on. This bed, which had horse manure last year, won't have any this year. This will be all my salad type things, so chard, spinach, lettuces, etc. And then the final 2 beds here, which will be my next 2 beds to start on, these are going to be for my potatoes, my main crops, and my salad. I can't remember which way round to plant them. I have to look at my notes. There is a way round to plant them though, because the salads come out first and I need to get their follow-on crop in straight away. The Oh yeah, the salads will go here, because once they're out, then they'll be followed by purple sprouting broccoli, which I like to get in sort of at the end of the summer, beginning of the autumn. The bed behind, main crops, they will come out in October, and they will be followed by garlic. Yay! It all makes sense, doesn't it? So this is the thing. I'm thinking about last year's crops that were in there. Now trying to remember what's supposed to be going in this year, and not just what's going in this year, but what will follow them to take me through the winter into next year. That's why I draw a plan and scratch through my mistakes numerous times before I hit on my final plan. The herb bed needs attention. You can see how the English lavender, after I've harvested, I've pruned them into shape and they make their nice little domes. On the far side, the French lavender's never been happy. We'll come to that. I'm going to do a separate herb. I'm going to do a separate video of this whole area because it needs attention. Blueberries need pruning. Things need cutting back. Rhubarb is taking off. Ooh, I might have a few stalks away soon. Yeah. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, look, the little freesias are really starting to show now. Oh, I'm pleased about that. Also, what I'm pleased about is ta-da! Look at the peas. So the tray in front, that's my green garden peas. This one at the back, green garden peas, and that's sweet peas. And then, I think it's easier down here. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 onions showing now. A bit hard to see because there's little blades of grass in there where I've trimmed. Never mind about the onions, that was just a bit of a fun experiment. And this is what's pleasing me. Oh, it's so lovely to see such beautiful, vibrant growth again, isn't it? Chuffed with that. And this not in the sun. Oh, let's give a shot of you beauties with the sun on you. Lovely. I just took a quick momentary break then because a couple of my fellow potholders needed to come down my path with some fence panels. This is me. This is my Taunton Dean. Again, oh look, peck package. But there's still a bit of a harvest for me. Oh, I think I forgot to say right back at the top of the garden that, hold on a sec, the Portuguese cabbage, which has been brilliant, it got, green, isn't it lovely? Any of you with snow still? I'm giving you my green as a gift. Yeah, I forgot to mention that the Portuguese cabbage, which was growing kind of and it's so lovely to have a trimmed path again. That always makes me so happy. The Portuguese cabbage had been growing at a jaunty angle anyway. It got a bit of a battering in Eunice, and I sort of propped it up, but it's gone right over. And I think, can you see it all looks like it's starting to wilt? I think right there where its little roots are, it's really snapped at the roots. So I need to get that harvested in the next couple of days before it all just wilts to nothing. It's been great though. Definitely having those this year instead of all of my other usual sort of cabbages, which is usually, a combination of Savoy and what's the other one? It doesn't matter. I'm not doing them anymore. Yeah, so I definitely need to bring the strimmer battery back. Get the strimmer battery, what's the word for it? Repowered, rejuiced. My strimmer string had run out as well. I've replaced that, but you can see, look, it's pretty long and snarly around here. Perfect for tripping me up. So yes, lots and lots and lots to do still, tidying up. I mean, look, all this cardboard that went flying in the storms. Oh, and this rhubarb's getting away too. that's another job. I want to get some strings or some supports in for the rose and honeysuckle to nudge them in the right direction up the shelf, up the wall, I mean, the fence. Yes, plenty to do, plenty to think about. And yeah, like I said, the herb bed, it needs a lot of attention. I'm not happy with how it's looking at the minute. Oh, look at the little daffs next door in the girls' pot, aren't they lovely in this light? Yeah, this over the winter. I mean, look, I know things will grow back in the summer, but the way it's looking at the moment, I'm not pleased with it. It's a bit of a disappointment, and it needs a bit of a rejig and a rethink. But otherwise, here we are at the beginning of March. I'm just going to perch on the girls' thing here. Oh, my knees are a bit done in today. Goodness knows how I'm going to manage the carting all that horse poo tomorrow, hopefully. But yeah, here we are at the beginning of March. We're finally getting a little tiny bit of warmth. It does finally start to feel like winter is on the way out and spring is on the way in. The paths, having grass paths, I love it because it means that there is some green even at this time of year. I look at the garden today and I think, wow, yes, there's a lot of work to do between now and the beginning of June. It's usually, I would say, about the end of the first week of June when every bed is seeded and planted up. It's not long, is it? March, April, May. So 3 months. 3 months to sow all my seeds, to do all my pricking out, all my potting on, all my bringing all my plants at home down to the cold frame, getting all these beds prepared, getting everything planted out into the beds, building all my structures. Wow! It is the mad 3 months in the garden every year. Sometimes it feels daunting and overwhelming. Sometimes I feel like I can't do it. But somehow every year I do it. And I kind of need to remind myself of that at this time of year. Because it's always at this time of year when I look at it in this state and I think, how on earth am I going to plant a whole new garden again? But I always do. And I hope for at least some time to come that I always will. Oh, sunshine and greenery. How special. I'm very, very, very lucky. So on that note, I'm going to bid you all a fond farewell and see you all again really soon, probably in the garden again. Get stuck into this. Actually, all the work that I want to do in the herb bed, most of it, and the deck area, most of it should be quite gentle. So it would be the perfect antidote to prep a bed, do some work in the herb bed. All right, lovelies, until then, please look after yourselves, look after each other, get into the garden if you can. Cheerio.